Just ahead on This American Land, these red wolves are ready for their close-ups, and the humans could not be more excited.
The more we watched, the more incredible the footage became.
People have always been fascinated by this noble, solitary predator. Now they need our help. Beavers are brilliant when it comes to construction work, but sometimes they need some help finding a homestead that won't annoy the neighbors.
The beavers are king when it comes to dam building.
Here it is, folks, one massive turtle.
These reptiles have ruled Florida waters since prehistoric times.
By protecting the Swanee snapping turtle, we are protecting our fisheries, the trees, the oysters, and everything in between.
Thanks for dropping in. We're eager to get started. We'll reveal these powerful predators. So stop playing around. A new edition of This American Land starts right now. Funding for this program provided by the McKnight Foundation, the Walton Family Foundation, and the Horner Family Fund.
Hello and welcome to This American Land. I'm your host, Ed Arnett, and we've got some great stories for you today about the conservation of America's natural resources, our landscapes, waters, and wildlife, and the people who are dedicated to conservation across the country. We'll start our journey today in North Carolina, where conservationists are working with wildlife authorities to restore and protect a very small population of rare red wolves, one of the most endangered species on the planet.
I think people are so fascinated with wolves because it's such an iconic species. It's a solitary predator that's beautiful and deserves protection.
Humans and wolves have a long history, and they're part of our natural heritage.
From the time that we're children reading fairy tales, they create an allure in our imaginations.
I am searching for the elusive red wolf.
People are very fascinated to photograph wolves and to see them in person. I think just because of the wildness of a wolf.
I am stoked. This is absolutely awesome. I can't get over it.
We have two wolves here, a male and a female. We were wild once, and I think that so red wolves just kind of represent that wildness that we keep looking for.
There's something about wolves. They're a family group and they mate for life. And of course, it doesn't hurt that they're cute as hell. And they're just out on the landscape trying to make a living. We are driving on to the Alligator National Wildlife Refuge. My name is Joe Madison. I am the program manager for the Fish and Wildlife Service for the Red Wolf Recovery Program in eastern North Carolina.
Wolf tracks.
Historically, red wolves were found throughout the southeastern United States, including eastern North Carolina. And they started to decline in the 60s, and then in the 1970s, they recognized that they were losing the species. So at that time, they decided to capture all remaining red wolves and bring them into captivity with the hope of having a captive breeding program. And in 1987, 4 pairs were released into the wild. After approximately 2007, for various reasons, both political and ecological, the red wolf population started to decline.
Red wolves are special because they are so critically endangered. My name is Jen Myhills. I'm the regional director with National Wildlife Federation. Unfortunately, we've seen an increase in gunshot mortality of red wolves, collisions with cars, and then they are also facing all of the same stressors that our other native wildlife are facing with invasive species, climate change, and really a squeeze on their habitat. One of the challenges red wolves are facing are the expansion of coyotes in the recovery area. And in fact, the entire country, largely in the absence of other predators like red wolves. Wildlife don't respect property boundaries. We've heard concerns raised from farmers about any impacts that wolves might have on livestock.
Here in the 5 counties where red wolves are found, you're not allowed to shoot coyotes at nighttime. because of the concern over mistaken identity and shooting a red wolf instead. So that has led to private landowners feeling like their rights are being infringed upon because of the red wolf.
Many of our large landowners want the ability to control the predator population at will without interference by the federal government. My name is David Clegg. I'm the county manager and county attorney of Tyrrell County, North Carolina. Those issues are strongly held and clearly articulated to elected officials in Tyrrell County. And the educational component over time has probably not been as robust as it should have been. Clearly, the existence of wildlife refuges and those areas that encourage hunting and fishing and birding are vitally important to the economic lifeblood of this place.
This is the only area where there is a wild population of red wolves in the entire world.
What I want for Tyrrell County, ultimately, is that it have a robust ecotourism economy.
They are very shy and wary of humans, even though these two have been in captivity all their lives.
The wolf, the story of the wolf, the unique nature of that reintroduction, that is a story that needs to be told.
The beat got stronger as I pointed the antenna in this direction. My hope for the Red Wolf Recovery Program here in eastern North Carolina and throughout its range is to increase the population and for this species to thrive in the wild and to be accepted and be a benefit to the folks of the areas that they're found in.
Red wolf recovery and their continued success in the wild is going to take the cooperative effort of all of us together to bring this species back from the brink again. If we don't act now, we are at the very real risk of losing the species in our lifetimes, or certainly our children's lifetimes.
With so few red wolves surviving in the wild, keeping track of them is an especially difficult challenge. Let's join wildlife filmmakers Alex Getz and Justin Grubb to see how it's done.
I'm on an aerial monitoring survey and we're flying above North Carolina, and we're looking for one of the rarest animals in the entire world. We're looking for the American red wolf.
We are on a mission to film the world's most endangered canid, and since their numbers are so low in the wild, we begin our search from the air.
The red wolves have a radio collar around their neck that emits a signal which can be heard from the air with an antenna that's attached to each of the wings of the airplane. This signal allows scientists to get a real-time understanding of where these incredibly endangered animals are hanging out.
A single red wolf's range can be large, encompassing several miles of habitat, making them extremely difficult to track. Using data points collected from the airplane, we can begin to pinpoint the wolf's location, which will help us continue our search at the ground level. So we trade our wings for wheels to continue the search for this extraordinary species. On the ground, the technology works the same, but instead, a small handheld antenna is used to pick up the VHF radio signal.
Let's see,
This antenna is a little bit more accurate and allows biologists to pinpoint the location of the wolf by triangulating its signal.
Now you can hear the signal by a little ping coming from the receiver. And the closer the wolf is, the louder that ping is, and you can use that antenna to determine what direction the wolf is in. And we're getting close. If you listen carefully, you can hear the pinging.
The older male.
Each wolf has its own unique frequency, which can be dialed in and listened for.
Now that we have a better idea of where the wolves are hanging out, we head out and look for more signs to help guide us on where to set up the next stage of the search. Trail cameras give us an incredible opportunity to capture unique behavior as we're not disturbing the animals. By leaving the cameras alone for just a few days, we are hoping to get valuable insight on the secret lives of these wolves.
Hey guys, so we are in Alligator River Wildlife Refuge and we are checking our trail cameras because it's been a little while. So yeah, let's go grab those SD cards and see what kind of wildlife we see. Oh wow, look at that. Right in broad daylight.
That's like one of the first daylight shots we've gotten, I think, of them.
Yeah, that is definitely a red wolf. You can tell with that collar and legs. Oh, look how tall it is.
I think we got, let's see. I think we got a couple more. Oh, there's another one.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, man. That's a good-looking animal.
That's amazing. They're so beautiful. And he just runs right off. Looks like we got some deer running by. This is like the most active camera trip spot.
The deer has one antler. Oh, the wolves are running. I wonder if they're going the same direction that deer just went.
Dude, I think he's got something in his mouth that looks kind of like a leg. I think
dude, dude. Now they got something for sure.
I think they got the deer.
Is that the head?
I think that.
Oh, it's got one antler. Oh my God, they killed the deer. Oh man, there he is. Well, poor deer, but it fed a whole pack of red wolves.
The more we watched, the more incredible the footage became. We were beyond words with the behaviors that we were witnessing on the cameras. But on one of our last days out in the field, we experienced a moment like no other. A moment that we will remember for the rest of our lives.
So we're crouched in a bunch of grass, and it's raining. And Alex is right there, and he's filming wild. He's slowly moving forward, trying to get a better shot. They might stay out in this field, so I'm just gonna keep scooting. This has been 4 days in the making, tracking these wolves. Finally getting a shot. Rarest animals in the world. I cannot tell you how exciting this is. We've spent days tracking these things.
This species was once hunted to the point of being declared extinct in the wild. But against incredible odds, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and other conservation organizations stepped in to establish captive populations across the country. By providing the best environment for the remaining wolves to breed naturally, red wolf numbers soon increased. In 1987, new red wolves were released back into the wild. By saving this animal, we are saving the entire web of life that we are all connected to. But the battle is not over. Many misconceptions still stand in the way of the American red wolf flourishing in its native habitat. By supporting the recovery effort, you are supporting one of America's most iconic animals.
Now we go to Idaho, where filmmaker Chris Milgate takes a look at nature's expert hydraulic engineers, beavers, and how wildlife authorities have historically moved them away from areas where they're not wanted to other areas where they can thrive. And in the past, that included dropping them from the air. Chris will lead us into this story.
Thanks, Ed. You travel the woods by 4 wheels and sometimes 2. Now imagine dropping into the forest by wings instead of wheels. That's what beavers used to do. It was Idaho's Beaver relocation program 7 decades ago. Scientists dropped shipments of beaver into the backcountry. They still move wildlife around today, but they don't use planes like they used to.
Beavers are really nature's engineers. We take beaver from places where they are a problem, where they've caused road damage or are causing problems for individuals chewing down their trees and their landscaping. Usually we would solve that problem by issuing a kill permit to the landowner, but instead we're trying to now work with landowners to be able to trap those beaver and to relocate them, hopefully in a family group. I'm sure it's not the most comfortable ride for them. They're really not used to being in the back of a truck. So that's got to be a little bit jarring for them.
20 beaver ready for the flight to Mountain Meadows.
I mean, honestly, I would have loved to have been a part of that. As long as the beaver's not put into harm's way, I think it'd be kind of interesting to watch.
The plane makes a careful approach, ready for the drop. Now into the air and down they swing, down to the ground near a stream or a lake.
It's crazy, right? It's not something that people do on a normal basis.
The box opens and a most unusual and novel trip ends for Mr. Beaver.
There are a lot more roads than there used to be. Usually we're able to get pretty close with a truck and then maybe hike a mile or two, if that. We try to do a pretty soft release. We don't try to just chuck them out far away. We try to put them where they're going to be. Immediately they can go into the water, find cover and shelter there. They're comfortable. That's their natural habitat. That's where they want to be. They'll repair these dams if there's a break. They'll make more, they'll make them bigger, and they'll just pay constant attention to them. And that's awesome for us. The two beaver that we have, they seem to like each other. They seem to get along. When we released them, they mulled around a little bit, but they seem pretty comfortable. They started preening. They even started doing some, hey, get out of my territory, slapping their tail on the water. It's very important for us to put groups of beaver out and have a male and a female both, so that they can actually, reproduce and stay in an area. We'll also put some beaver lodges in place so that they'll have immediate protection from predators. The hope is that they'll set up shop, build some ponds, and do some good, all on their own. They're definitely attracted to the sound of running water. They've actually placed tape recorders out there with speakers that just, no water anywhere in sight. It just has the sound of running water, and beaver will pile sticks on that tape recorder to try to stop the sound. So it's just irresistible to them. They just, I don't know, they got to plug it up. The beavers are basically creating these ponds. They're making the places for fish to go. A lot of people, they see that as a fish obstruction, but they're really not. Water flows in and out of a beaver dam. There's also areas where fish can usually get around or swim over the top. Fish love it. Beaver create habitat for not only fish, but also for deer, elk, moose, bear. Pretty much everything needs water and places to drink. There's no doubt in my mind that this benefits everybody.
Next up, we go down to the Swanee River in Florida with filmmakers Alex Getz and Justin Grubb to go face to face with an ancient and hefty reptilian beast, the alligator snapping turtle, to learn more about this unique animal and how valuable data are being collected to help protect the species.
We are down in Florida looking for a massive prehistoric animal found only in the Swanee River. This animal lives in the deep, dark water of the Swanee and is known for its impressive set of jaws. There's no better way to find this animal than by teaming up with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, or FWC for short.
Travis, how's it going? Justin and Alex.
We meet up with none other than Kevin Inge and Travis Thomas to hit the Swanee River in style to begin our search. FWC biologists set big net traps out overnight with a little bit of tasty fish left inside to attract animals, so that we can pull them in today and see what we caught. We motor on up to the first trap and pull it in with a hook. At first glimpse, I could see that it is full of fish. These are called gar, and there are two species in this first trap, the longnose gar and the Florida gar.
You see the difference between the different gars we have here? This one's the Florida gar, and then this one is the needlenose gar.
Now, both of these fish are prehistoric and have impressive jaws, but are not what we have come here to find. So with the trap disassembled and the fish placed back in the water, we're off to check the next trap. This is our first glimpse of our animal, as the top of the shell peaks above the dark water of the Swanee River. Here it is, folks, one massive turtle. This is the prehistoric, impressive-jawed, big-headed behemoth we have come here to film. But we do have more traps to check, so let's quickly motor on to see if there are any more Swanee snapping turtles.
Dancing.
As I pull the trap in, I can really feel that there is something big inside.
Yeah, got a big one. Got a big boy this time. There's a nice sized one. All right, let's see what sort of muscles you have, Dustin. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 that size in a trap.
Incredible. I never thought I would see such a large snapping turtle. Clearly, they get their name because of their ability to, well, snap. They have a powerful bite and can exert up to 900 pounds of pressure per square inch. Humans can only bite with a force of 200 pounds per square inch.
How old do you think this guy is?
People always ask that. I mean, it really depends upon, you know, how much food they have. We always say these big turtles are at least 40 years, you know, could be 80.
This is a special animal because it is not just an alligator snapping turtle. It is its own unique species of snapping turtle, a species found only here in the Swanee River.
There we go. Good size one.
Yeah, Justin.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Our next step in the process is to take the turtles to shore to collect valuable scientific data. Doing exactly this is what has allowed scientists to reclassify this animal as its own species back in 2014. We start by trying to identify the individual turtle, as these scientists have come up with a unique way of marking individual turtles so they can keep track of their growth over the years.
10, 20, 40, 70, 1, 2, 4, 7, so we got 20. Here, yeah, 2.
Next, we check its size, using the calipers to measure the size of the head, then the carapace, or shell, of the turtle.
395.
You can determine the gender by looking at the tail length.
Yeah, little male.
Now comes the hard part, checking the weight. With such a heavy turtle, you have to be inventive.
That's a big turtle.
All right, it is 50 kilograms. It's 111 pounds.
111 pounds. What a huge turtle. But it is not as big as they can get. Swanee snapping turtles can be as large as 200 pounds. They can also live to be a century old. If you look closely inside its mouth, you could see a little something or other dancing around. Well, my friends, that is not a worm. That is actually a vermiform appendage on its tongue. It is meant to look like a worm, enticing a fish looking for an easy meal. When the fish tries to take a bite, whack! The turtle shuts its jaws and enjoys the freshest fish around.
So look how beautifully camouflaged this animal is. It's dark brown, mottled, blends right into the river. And when fish are swimming by, they're not going to see this animal at all.
These turtles are one of the top predators in this ecosystem and help balance it out. By protecting the Swanee snapping turtle, we are protecting our fisheries, the trees, the oysters, and everything in between. Now that today's sciencing has come to an end, it is time to put the turtles back. It is important to release them close to where we caught them. Since this big fella was caught right around the corner, we'll let him scoot off into the water. But for the other, we will transport it back on the turtle taxi. Swanee snapping turtles are a symbol of the South, and it is important to keep these waters well turtled.
Super cool. That was awesome.
And now, let's take a look at stories from our next show.
One of the things that binds us as Americans and as Montanans is this deep affinity for public lands and access to those lands.
But what's the future of a federal fund set up to protect public lands and natural resources?
Our business is really built on the back of public lands and public land access. Without that, people don't have a place to recreate. So, without public lands, we really don't have a customer base. We really don't have a business.
Thank you.
And so for us, the regular guy, the regular citizen who lives here, has a chance to get out on the water and get out in the mountains in a way that wouldn't exist if we didn't have public lands.
And we're doing a lot of experimentation to make the environment better, not only here on our farm, but for the people in our community.
We're really happy to see these individual species here today. What that tells us is, compared to the samples that we've done in the past here, that this stream is in good shape. It hasn't degraded over time, so landowners in this watershed are doing a great job.
Farming may be an ancient profession, but these innovators are coming up with techniques to keep water cleaner and land healthier. Next time on This American Land.
That's all for now, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on This American Land.
For more information about this program, visit thisamericanland.org, listen to our podcasts, and like us on Facebook. Funding for this program provided by the McKnight Foundation, the Walton Family Foundation, and the Horner Family Fund.